A very special greeting. Welcome to the hour, my one weekly program here live on social media. And interestingly, I should say that Team Unity Dominica has been relaying my programs live. And I must say thanks to Carlos, Unity leader, and the other members of the team for streaming this informative program live almost every Sunday now. So I thank you for that, Carlos, and the entire team. And I welcome you to this very exciting mission today. We're going to have some fun. But just before we get into the meat of our discussion, let me just say that I have always prided myself to be someone who is at least making the effort to be academically consistent and intellectually honest with everything that I do. And viewing my work over time suggests that I have been at least consistent with that applied. I also believe in being graceful professionally and also grateful, because who I am today is not because of my own making, it's because of so many people going back to the community. Vava, JJ, Satinet, Ma George, Miss Weeze, Cayenne, Mr. Etienne, Mr. Hiram, the entire community in Calibishi played a very useful role in grooming me, in raising me. My brother Cairo Kennedy Cyril, who just passed, may he rest well, a brethren close to my heart. I miss him dearly. He too would have played a little part in terms of helping to shape me. I mean, everyone, Joe Bugunu, Mr. Nicholas, Mr. Koiso, Elford Henry, Osborne Theodore, and the list goes on. Give me Mr. Pekap, Didin, his wife, etc., 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 etc. So who I am today is a net combination of so many different people. So I am grateful, I am gracious, I try my best to do what I do well. That is why I come here at least once a week to give something back to the community, and by so doing, to connect the Dominican Calibishi community to the wider world. So world, I introduce you to Dominica and our immense talents and untapped potentials. One of the issues, one of my segments is that we trace Asa Banton. Who is Asa? Asa is a young Dominican who is like the bouillon boss, he calls himself. And bouillon is an extract from our music genre, like the latest version of the evolution of Dominica's music, which began from Calypso, soca, Cadence-Calypso, well, I should say Cadence-Calypso before soca. So soca, Cadence-Calypso, soca, and then we got into bouillon. All of this are an unbroken trail of Dominica's music pattern. And Esa Banton is one of those youngsters who have embraced the bouillon extension of Dominica's music, and I think is the one who is traveling most widely around the world now promoting bouillon music. So I have introduced a new segment called Where on Earth is Asa? And we know exactly where he is right now. We know what time he played in Grenada this morning. We know what time he left for Antigua. We know where he is right now, what he's doing as we speak. Asa, the camera is on you. But before we tell you about that, here's what Asa did in Grenada just this morning.
Do this, what's that? Do this, what's that? Do this, in the center, in the center, we are ready. This is Grenada, this is what's that? Follow me, do this, what's that? Do this,
So that is it, Esa, mashing it up in Grenada. And anybody who understands music or who know what it is to fet, and even if you do not know what it is to fet Caribbean style, DA style, just the picture alone tells you what's going on. So that song was entitled Make a Mess, We're Making a Mess. And Asa Banton is known for making a musical mess wherever he plays. And he is also known for other things. For instance, the Wet Fete is an event where you get wet in the fete. And he's the king of that, Wet Fete King. And in terms of energy and endurance on stage, he also carries that mantle very well as well. So, Esa, we continue to wish you well. We continue to follow you. We know you have been busy of late, but I want you to slow down, my friend, and make some time so we can at least have a conversation. Probably next Sunday we'll arrange that, where you come and just drop a couple of little vibes, just to touch base as we get ready and draw closer to um, Breakfast Fete, which is an amazing headline program in Dominica. In terms of the entertainment calendar in Dominica happening in August 12, 13, and 14, I think. So we need to touch base on that and so on. But I'll follow you. I'll keep on following you, and I'll let the world know where you are and what you're doing. You continue to fly Dominica's flag, literally as an ambassador appointed by the government and doing some good work. So I commend the government for appointing Issa Banton, your boss, as an ambassador. And I give you all the credits, my dear friend, that I can give for really flying the flag literally. And Alwyn is smiling, of course, as he rests well to see that his good work is being kept alive by us. You see, my flag is always ready here with a light on it. So Issa is the other person I know who actually always embraced the Dominica flag. So big respect to you, Issa. You're going to play in Antigua. We have our cameras on you. If you are playing while we on the live, I will get you in. If not, we will show the people maybe next week, or who knows, we might have some new footage for where you would have mashup next weekend. So that's that in terms of our segment on Where on Earth is Asa. We know Dominica's musical ambassador, one of them, one of the many, is in Antigua right now, Wadadli, 30 minutes away from Dominica North. And I hope Asa comes back down to us to Granby before he makes his move to the next destination. We know where he's going to go next, but I can't publish until we're ready to do so. So that's it in terms of segment one of our program here today. Next, we talk about Bouillon to the world, and as you know, Issa is not the only Bouillon artist who has been doing their thing, but this guy called Benji with the Triple K band has been going on for a little while. And I saw the last time I saw Benji live, he was in Morocco. Benji was singing for a wedding, at a wedding. Pa made mwen wedding kimunsa, kimunti kamaye massive. I don't know. I just know somebody was getting married, and I saw Benji singing Bouillon in Morocco. So you see how far the Bouillon going. I don't know. I kind of delayed about, thought about playing the video, but I say maybe no. I don't know if it's meant for public consumption that way. But I saw Benji, Daddy Benji, Mr. Benji, in Morocco singing Bouillon at a wedding. So that again suggests that we are going places with the Bouillon. Another area where we are moving, and I wanted to spend some time today to highlight, is Alec Athanas and cricket. The young man made a debut playing for West Indies against the UAE, and he had a record-breaking 50 half-century with 26 deliveries, and he went on to score 64, 65, and he decided to get out. So if there was a criticism for him, that is it. So he made that, he attempted the reverse sweep on two occasions. The first time he got hit on a pad, of course it was out of line. The second time he was plumb out. So probably that is something, my brother, you have to kind of review. If you play in that shot, make sure you execute well, or play it when the ball is not on line with stumps. Kind of time it, because it was an error and you did it twice. You got a heavy, strong, confident appeal the first time, and the second time it was so plumb Does even, I mean, you knew it before the umpire said you were gone. But that not taking anything away from your knock, I think I saw a lot of brilliance in you. I don't want to compare you to anybody else, Alec. I think I heard the comparison of Brian Lara, but I'm not in a position to want to compare that, to make that comparison. I think you are in a class by yourself. You have not gotten there yet, but the future is bright. I heard commentators saying for the next 10 years, you will be it. Let's make it 15 years because you are still young. So 10 and 24 is 44, and 5 is 49. Yeah, by 49, 40, you might be willing to take a little break. But let's say 15 years after Nas, if you continue playing that way, I think the future of cricket in Dominica, well, first of all, in Grand Bay, in Dominica, the Caribbean, and the world will be better. We congratulate you. Go out there and continue to make us proud, my dear friend. Atanas really did make us proud. And the commentator seems to know something that probably we maybe didn't know. Or probably we knew because we have been calling for him to be selected. But now when they saw the man shaping up, I mean, the man is firm in defense. The man hooks well, he sweeps well, he cuts well. I mean, he's just, I mean, to me, yes, they say about the thing, well, Lara, I see that too, but to me, I see no Sobers there too. Not because he's a Dominican. Because Lara and Sobers are similar, but there's something that Sobers has that Lara doesn't have, and something that Lara has that Sobers doesn't have. And I think Atanas have both. Combination of that. So I'm not trying to promote the man as a success as yet. Of course, he's a success. He played for West Indies, but he has some work to do. He does have to grind, and that reverse sweep, Atanas, practice it. If you have to spend 5 hours in the net practicing it, practice. When you reverse sweeping, make sure you connect the ball, because sometimes if you don't connect, it's at your detriment, to your detriment, as we saw. And if it hadn't been that delivery, my dear friend, 100, maybe you'd have scored 139 not out easily, because you couldn't get out. I mean, you were just seeing the ball, like you were seeing the balls as big as breadfruit. So nobody was getting you out in that wicket, my dear friend. But there was a way to go. And as we say, we'll work on that. We'll practice that in the net. Make sure the next time you reverse sweep, and you should continue to reverse sweep. That's a very effective shot. Just make sure when you reverse sweeping, you hit that ball, or you sweep down leg or on outside the off stump for you as a left-hand batsman. All right, that's that. In terms of my little take on Atanas. Oh boy, I'm so excited today. We have a huge day. Just 60 minutes, and we're going to tie a number of things into our little program. Another thing.
Alec, just want to say congratulations to you. Following your career from under 19 through 18 cricket, you went on the tour to South Africa, didn't play while you were there. Now having the opportunity to watch you make your debut, it's a proud moment for all of us, but it can't be as proud as how you should feel now. And we all hope at the start of a very long, very successful, very productive career. Good luck today and good luck for the rest of your career. So brilliant effort.
That was the other thing. I was going to show you where Adams gave him his first West Indies cap, which was a very proud moment. And you can see the humility in this young man. He just was ready to get on with the action. And when he received this, that was a proud moment for Dominica, man. That was a proud moment for Granby. That was a proud moment for cricketer, a proud moment for sport. And boy, I hope we can just, do more. Yeah, we have a little stadium in Dominica, but what about the facilities to get them ready to get into the stadium? I don't even want to get into that because to me, it doesn't make sense. Look at the negatives. Let's build from there. So Atanas, I think, is it in West Indies cricket for the next dozen of years plus, consistently. And if he does that, he will certainly become very wealthy as an international elite sports person. He will become a millionaire, and that's what we hope. Why not? If Lara is, why can't he be? And Gale, and so on. And I suspect a franchise is going to pick him up. I suspect India might get him first. And I'm even willing to go with the team that might go for him, but I wouldn't do that. And I think he'll play in Pakistan, he'll play in Australia, he'll play in England. He's going to be playing around the world. So Atanas is going to be playing full-time cricket 24/7, and he's going to make a lot of money playing cricket. He's going to save his money. He's going to make a big name for himself. And he should be probably bestowed as an ambassador. because he's a West Indies cricketer. Why not give it to him now? Let him use all the tools to to boost himself. Because when Lara scored 100 or 400 or whatever, we gave him something. We didn't give Lara something, no guys. So give it to Atanas, man. Hey, give it to him. Give him the official title as a young person going out there and making us proud. You see what I'm saying, Mr. Government? If you can do that, that would be nice. Nice for everybody in Dominica. Let's promote and let's help to build. So Atanas, you've gone clear. Stay well, stay healthy. Don't drink. Well, drink water, but stay away from the fat and the booze and everything. I mean, I don't even have to tell you that. You know that. But we with you, my dear friend. We with you 100%. All right, moving very quickly. There is another area that I want to mention in terms of young artists and Trilogy. Same age if Atanas won the Calypso Monarch title of Dominica on his first go, first outing. Boom, win. Second person to do that in the life of Calypso in Dominica. The other one was Trinidad. So Trilogy, and most importantly, Trilogy wrote his songs, both songs. So he was the first Calypsonian to write their songs and sing and compete and win. Both songs. Trilogy not easy, and he is a bouillon artist. He came from bouillon, and he went into Calypso to win. Now bouillon came from Calypso. That's where bouillon came from. So there's nothing wrong if a man sing bouillon and go in Calypso. Even if you bouillarize Calypso too, it's okay, because Hunter bouillarized Calypso with Carry Bacchanal and so many other songs and won with those songs. So there's nothing wrong in fusing the Calypso to make it a bit more palatable and marketable. Nothing wrong with that. As long as the basic components of the Calypso remain, you can have attitudes to the Calypso. As I always say, and Gordon agrees, and Gordon says, and I agree, that Dominica's Calypso is condensed Calypso. Trinidad Calypso is tekek, teke, teke. That's Trinidad Calypso. Calypso is wide, it's beyond Trinidad. But they have a particular version of the Calypso, traditional Calypso. Our Calypso evolved from the different rhythmic pattern. So our Calypso is slightly different, a bit more fuller, a bit more rhythmic. Well, not more rhythmic. There are other musical components to Dominica's Calypso that you will not find in Trinidad Calypso. So our real Calypso is cadence Calypso. When you hear good cadence Calypso play, you hear Calypso. So Trilogy has done well to win for the first time, writing his own songs. And I know, because I worked with Trilogy, I keep on working with him. He's an amazing young man to work with behind the scenes. And there is something coming up. Again, I do not want to preempt the release, but I know Trilogy has teamed up with Shelly. And together they're going to present something to Dominica and the world. I won't say what, Trilla and Shelly. I'll give you the honor of doing so. But I must say the behind the scenes preparation look good. And I'm so proud of you, young man. I am so very proud of you. And I want to tell you that no matter how difficult you think things are in Dominica, there are some older guys like me who believe that you are what we need right now to make the difference in our country. Yes, the old political vanguards will remain and some will go, some will, but never mind that, man. Never mind the politics, man. Just continue doing what you have to do and everything will fall in line. So I will give you and Shelly and Trilla the honor to release your idea to the world. But I was just so excited that I wanted to appear here today to say that I'm very proud of you and the world can expect something from you. A kind of a combination with both of you, and you combine certain things with two different genres. I mean, this is so genius of you guys to think about, and I really cannot wait. I'm happy to be part of it, guys, and the sky is the limit. Yeah, man. Booyah to the world. All right. So there are two more topics that I want to deal with, and of course, I would hope that there would be some questions or comments on the live that I may have to get to. If not, we will just wind up and move on and get ready for next Sunday. Whenever I come here, I prepare for an entire week, and I give you all of me whenever I come here. All right. The other issue I wanted to speak about today on the hour is what appear to be shame or shaming name calling and division or divide in the sort of political landmass of our country on both sides of the political spectrum. And when I say both sides, I mean the both traditional sides for the past 2 decades plus. That is going to change, guys. It is not red and blue politics in Dominica anymore. It cannot be. That hasn't worked. We're going to have an infusion of colors to fix the problem, the political issues we have in Dominica. Because what is in power is not red anyway, it's an infusion of green, red, blue anyway. It is just that there is no particular ideology that governs or guides the governance of the country, and that's the problem. And I'm going to speak a little bit more about that in my final section in terms of the international politics. But in Dominica, as we speak, the color politics, the party politics have destroyed the fabric of our relations with each other. Where if you're not blue, you are my enemy. I have experienced with people who I felt I could take a bullet for at one point in time. Not now, maybe yes, now if I have to. But I would think twice about taking a bullet for some people now because of how they turned out to be. I mean, people who I used to eat and turn my back on, I would not do that anymore. It's at those people or with those people anymore, or even turn my back on them or let them know my business anymore because I just find how can you be indifferent to someone because of a political party or the political preference or the political opinion? And too many of them, my friends, so-called friends in Dominica, are like that. So it shows a lack of maturity. And it's painful because I have never gotten angry with anybody for politics. I have never lost a moment to worry about anything because of politics. I just don't understand why some people can get so frigid, so personal when it comes to politics. And on both sides of the divide in Dominica, there is something called name calling, shaming, division, where you just bring people down. What is the benefit in bringing people down? I don't understand that. What does one gain to try to degrade someone? If somebody make a mistake, we all make mistakes. We are all prone to missteps. You are going to make a misstep eventually, and if the world knows, they will hopefully do not treat you the way you treat others. But every day I'm seeing this mapwe, this mudslinging, this name calling, this shaming, and some believe that by doing so they will excel politically. Guys, it does not work that way in politics. You only get through in politics when you inspire hope, not fear. You don't get me to be frightened to inspire me to be progressive. No. I may respond to you, but that is not a progressive response. But when you inspire hope, when you seek to unite, when you build coalition, that's the way. When you say, look, man, I do not know what you're working with, but here's what I'm working with. Can we work together? As Nelson Mandela says, you have to find a way to embrace people who has not supported you, and even more so those who supported you and stop, move away, withdraw the support. That's when you have to stick close and say, so why are you walking away from me? Why do you want to walk away from a 30-year friendship? But when somebody do something different politically, and you think you must cut them off and ostracize them, that is not going to help you. And I'm seeing enough of name calling. I just saw a new cycle, what do you call it? Thread. I think I'm some young politician in Dominica that have had a moment of indiscretion. You know what? Let me leave that alone. I'm going to leave that alone. I'm going to move on to my final topic. It is almost half an hour into my discussion, and I want at least 15 minutes on this final topic and then some time to review after. So let's get into the final topic on this particular program of the hour. And that topic is the indictment of the former honorable president of the United States of America, the 45th president. And I never make mention to the name of the individual. I think I might have said so live before, and I will repeat it again. The reason why I don't is because I've taken a professional decision not to. And what drives my decision is basically two things. One, the name is a brand, and I do not promote brand carelessly, willfully, or otherwise if I don't have a reason to, or I don't have an interest in promoting the brand. So the name, I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 letters in that name of the 45th president. I don't call it publicly because when you call names, you add power to the names. So I don't give, I don't take. He is the 45th president, so I refer to him as the 45th president, number 45. And the second reason why I professionally do not call the name is because there is something that people can do when you call people's names. They can sort of use technology, or maybe not technology, use psychology to let it appear as if you are saying things to hurt or to help. So I choose not to. And it's just not a good practice in politics. The best of the best in politics, you'll observe, hardly call people's names when they make reference to people. I think our prime minister does that a little, the Dominican prime minister. Putin of Russia certainly does. Stay away from calling names. McConnell, in terms of the Republican leader in the US Senate, wouldn't call certain names. I mean, when you attain a certain level of maturity and understanding of the effect in name calling, you just don't call them. So that's one of the reasons I chose not to professionally. And because of the colorful nature of the presidency of that person, that former president, he certainly was different. He was the only president who got into office with no experience whatsoever. And when I say no experience, I mean governing experience or military experience, serving in the military. Almost every other president would have had some kind of a thing. He had nothing. And it was believed that his presidency would have been different, but no one understood how different his presidency was going to be, to the point where he's the first American president to be charged criminally by the state of New York and now by the federal government. So he's looking at federal time in federal prison. And the charges that I saw in the indictment paper, they read very, 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 very serious. So I felt I would deal with that today and talk about where we're going to go from here in terms of global politics. Because I don't want to really get into the details. I don't want to really, again, shame or name call number 45. I think he is able to defend himself, and those people who are promoting him can promote him. But I look at the nitty-gritty, I look at the bottom line. To have a president charged by the government, the federal government, on matters which are so serious. I mean, you talk about espionage, which does not necessarily mean selling and talking and trying to plot stuff for your country. Because under the Espionage Act, there are different areas that one can be charged under. Willfully withholding information, sensitive documents. I mean, if those charges are true, and if they're proven to be true, and if the jury say guilty, this is damning. And as a professor with some level of responsibility to be gracious and honest and true to all in the debate, which I've always been. And yes, I've heard the political pandering on both sides. I think the right general ethos is to promote the fact that the Department of Justice in the US is selective in its issuance of justice because it had not charged Mrs. Clinton, who had, when she was Secretary of State, operated by using a private server to communicate intelligence of a classified nature. And that is bad. So they felt that she should have been charged as well. But there is something called rule of law. And when that, I mean, which talks about a number of things, not just how the law is administered, but the process, due process, the rights to appeal, and everything else that goes with it. So under the rule of American rule of law, and the Department of Justice at the time didn't think that they should charge her, and she wasn't charged. I think the FBI was looking at the investigation. So that was that. And then there was a situation with the current president, who was also in possession of intelligence, classified documents, not classified documents, unknown to him, which was found, and he voluntarily gave up and said that he was sorry, he didn't know it was there. And Mike Pence as well, our former vice president, who was also found in possession of secure documents, intelligence documents, who openly said, look, I really didn't know, I'm sorry, I'll cooperate fully. And 45 is actually being charged with something similar, a bit on a different level though, because he had the documents, he took the documents with him, lots of boxes of the documents with him, knowing that they were classified information, claiming that he can declassify, and he fought off declassifying them, so they all declassified. Playing games with the, I guess, the Department of Justice. When they tried to get him to voluntarily give up the material to them, he didn't, until there was a raid that a court gave permission to do on his holdings in Florida. Courts do not give a warrant like that if they do not have proof, especially against a former president. So they had enough compelling reasons to do it, and the raid resulted in some documents, lots of it being classified and taken from his place, which were kept in unsecured places. In fact, any other placement of classified documents other than the archives is susceptible to risks, great risks. And after, there's something called the grand jury or special investigator that sometimes the department choose to look at cases. So the Department of Justice, through the age, he didn't actually take the case on its own. It put in place a special investigator to look at the matter. And this independent person says, well, there are some questions to be asked, and there are questions to be asked and answers to be had. And that is the indictment that we see that's happening in Miami on Tuesday, where the former president is going to have to come to answer some charges, and then there's going to be a hearing. And we do not know how it's going to happen, but for now, the former president is said to be not guilty until the case and a verdict comes in. And a number of things can happen when that happens, because there's a presidential election coming up in America next year, and the Republicans could win. And there are candidates who are going to be contesting who claim that if they win, they're going to pardon number 45, which is something the presidents can do. They can give presidential pardons for people who have committed federal crimes. So everything that's happening now, if 45 goes to jail or gets convicted, that can be erased instantly within a year. And I suspect it will. If he does not make it and somebody else wins on the Republican side. And I think even if the Democratic leader candidate wins as well, I think he could pardon him as well. I think it goes. I mean, there is something about protecting the integrity of the presidency, and we saw it in the Watergate situation with President Nixon, which is another case study that we can get into, but this is not a class. I'm just highlighting certain things just to get to the point I want to get to. So we do not know how this is going to work out, but as a professional, I think there is a case to be answered and to be made, and it doesn't matter how it ends. There's going to be life after this case. I don't want to predict what the life will be, but I just want to sort of, present something because that's what I do. Politics is what I do as a profession. So just present something to help in the continuation of the discussion because on too many times, occasions, we discuss politics from a partisan front. And as I said before, the Republicans are now saying, well, the DOJ is unfair to one and is not doing the same to another. There's something about Hunter Biden and his father. A number of different things have been brought up right now that I don't really want to get into. The point I'm making is we should be able to look at this situation based on its merit and do not try to conflate it with so many things. And that's what is happening right now in terms of both sides of the political divide in America. While the rest of the world watching all the deterioration of the political process in America, and that really opens up the avenue and opportunity for more rogue nations, more authoritative nations to want to do not just what they're doing, but to take advantage on the vulnerabilities of the American political system. And I hear that there might even be plans in Venezuela to encroach on the lands in Guyana, to annex portions of the land, of the Guyana's land. Um, and then we saw what happened in Ukraine. So those people who are less democratic are saying, okay, the democracy, the bastion of democracy in the world is fledgling, and so we can do whatever it is that we have to do and blame them for doing it. So I think you might see the rise of more populism, more populist sort of leaders, less democratic, more authoritarian. I'm just taking the advantage based on the little window that has been opened with the fracture on the American democracy. Well, the democracy is not fractured, so to speak, but the sort of bipolarization that's taking place and the fragmentization of the system is causing other authorities in the world to say, you know what, I can get away with that, I'm going to do it. So that is what I think the problem is. The other thing is we are a part of the Americas. So it is in our interest for America to be healthy as a democracy, as a nation, as a global superpower. Probably the ultimate global superpower still. Because if that power shifts from the West and goes to the East, let's say China, Korea, one of those countries, Russia, becomes the elite global economic military giant. We in the Americas, we're in problems. At least there is enough of us that is, we are just a kiss away from them. And we're not saying that they will always save us or they have always helped us and saved us, but at least we are an arm's length from global power. If the power shifts across the globe to the east, we are not an arm's length again. We are in the Americas, we are in the West, and we are in the same zone that is questionable. So I'm not saying that we should fight to continue to have America prospering. I'm not saying that whatever happens, we are part of the Americas and we'll be equally affected by it, even if our little country alone decides to go with North Korea, but that's not enough in the Americas. It's going to be, it's not the same because you're not going to have most of the Dominicans who now live in North America going to Korea to live because we don't want to go to Korea to live. Probably not Russia, probably not China. It's most likely we'll go next door to the mainland, America. But all that dynamic shift with the impending issues that can result from the shift in the political situation in America. And that is the conversation I think and hope we can have respectfully, this and other conversations. That is what I wanted to present today, guys. That's all I want to say. I don't want to say so much more because I don't need to say so much more. And that is my program. That's my contribution. If there's any comments, questions, queries, concerns, I'll be more than happy to go over it right now. But I have an hour. I'm 42 minutes in, and I'm ready to call it a day. Let me see whether there is anything on my end, and if there's anything from the producer's end. My dear friend Carlos, my partner, my colleague who is producing with me for me, will let me know whether there's anything to share. But let me have a quick look to see whether there's anything. And if not, guys, I'm ready to let you have your Sunday to yourself. Let me see. Oh, I think I saw Chris Bugunu says greetings, Sir Bruno. Joe Bugunu, my granduncle. Yeah, I made reference to your granduncle, Chris. Joe Bugunu. We used to call him Zoe. An amazing gentleman. He used to live across the river from the Calibishi school in Laiviedu. Calibishi had two major rivers, one in the south, one in the north. The one in the south is called Laiviedu, and the one in the north is called Laivie Sali. So I lived between two rivers. So Joe Bugunu lived on the mouth of the river Laiviedu, right next to a mang tree, and the playing field was on the other side by the Calibishi Primary School, and we used to play cricket as a boy. I was not an easy cricketer. If the opportunities were there as it is today for Alec and others, I might have been a West Indies player. But I was playing good cricket, man. Batsman, wicket keeper, open batsman too. Sharp, man. Very, very sharp, man. Pretty to look at. I patterned my cricket style after Gordon Greenwich. In my days it was Greenwich and Haynes. These guys they had locked their position on the West Indies team for a number of years. People like Sibo was knocking at the door of West Indies cricket, but Sibo could never make West Indies because Greenwich and Haynes. It was just impossible. Had it not been for them, Sibo would have been a West Indies player. So I patterned my style after Greenwich. Greenwich was Bajan, I think. Yeah, he's Bajan, and he had a sort of a back foot square cut, man, and a square drive. Darwin Telemack used to play that shot well as well. And he was hitting that ball really hard. So I was a Gordon Greenwich. And if you saw me play as a youth, Chris, yeah, that's who you would have seen. Circumspect, firm. I used to hit that ball. So when we used to play, I used to bat by the swamp end. And I used to pick up bowlers and hook them or pull them, and the ball used to fall right in Joe Bugunu yard over the river. And Joe Bugunu and the older men used to be there watching. And when he says, "Come, my half century, 15 balls, 20 balls, sometimes less than that, because the boundaries were close in Calibishi. And I used to hit hard. I had a super SS Jumbo. So when I scored my 50, they would run and put money in my pocket. So that's how I made my money, to take care of myself, to pay our little light bill. And my grandma used to say, "Oh, continue making the good shots, eh?" So I would go and play cricket and score a lot of runs, because every time I score half a century, a big half century, 100, I would get money, sometimes $20, $30. And that in those days, that's a lot of money. So I used to be happy to bring the money home for my grandmother, and she used to take it to pay little bills and stuff. So playing cricket was a way out for me, because I used to score, get money and stuff like that. So I remember Joe. Joe was one of my biggest supporters. My dear brother Chris, and I'll never forget people like Joe Bugunu for the encouragement and the mentorship that they gave. All right, so that's pretty much it, guys. I'm going to pause now. There are other programs that are going to be aired, but I'm happy that I was here. I want to thank Carlos for producing and for sharing this program on the Team Unity Dominica's page. And for the generations of Dominica who will view this program in the future, this is for you. I am not even programming for today. And for those of you who have been on the live, thank you. Those who are going to look at it after, thank you. Let's continue having a genuine conversation about politics, about progress, about growth. Because that's the only way we're going to be able to move together, is if we speak, if we discuss, if we agree to disagree, and we do so in an agreeable manner. Take care now, and I'll see you guys next Sunday. That's my program.